if push comes to shove and the U.S. is really twisting Israel's arm, but the U.S. won't act in a way that will guarantee that Iran won't get nuclear weapons, if Israel were to act on their own to risk the U.S. relationship, if they're even able to do it, you think Israel ought to?
Again, I'll have to turn your question a little bit from a different angle. I think that it is immoral for Israel to allow the buildup of dangerous weaponry aimed at its destruction. I think it's immoral for us to allow that, and I think it is our moral duty to reach out and undermine those intentions as early as possible and not to allow them to get built up. It is an Eastern proverb: attack small problems while they're small. Don't allow them to grow. Call them out early. And the haters of Israel, when they get the headwind and the support and all the media, Israel's thinking about attacking you, all this kind of stuff, it actually inflates their ego, makes them more powerful than they are. Strike them early, strike them hard. That is our mandate after the Holocaust. We are we're the startup nation. We're the spiritual superpower. We're also the never again state. And our job is to be never again to allow such an eventuality as the harm of one hair on one child in Israel. We have no right to allow that to happen. So I would say that it's already too late because we've allowed a lot of this stuff to get worse and worse, but still we have to act immediately. And I think Israel needs to act alone, in conjunction, whatever it is, but it needs to figure out what is the quickest route to neutralize any dangers, including, by the way, the more local dangers of Hezbollah rockets and other dangers. We have to become more aggressive against bad guys. If we are more aggressive against bad guys, that is how the good guys will be able to rise up in the Arab world, certainly. If you don't strike at the intolerant, the tolerant Arab stands no chance. He cannot raise his head in that society. You must neutralize the real bad guys for the good guys to come up. You must weed out the nourishment-sucking weeds for the beautiful grass to grow. But you have to be aggressive about that. And if you're not, then you're actually aggressively allowing the bad guys to suppress the tolerant and the decent and the moderate.
Do you feel that Muslims in Israel, not just in Judea Samaria, but Muslims in Israel, pose a threat, a potential threat, if Israel wants to assert itself as a more Jewish state?
The Muslims in Israel and in Judea and Samaria pose a threat when we do not assert ourselves as a Jewish state. The more we show a certain kind of weakness, a certain kind of lack of resolve, of clarity, it's not really just the Muslims. It's Muslims in conjunction with certain powers in the West, with NGOs that are working against Israel. There's really a conglomerate of certain European countries and certain quadrants of power here in the United States. And the bottom line is that in the Middle East, you have to assert your claim, or else your spot on the line will be taken. You have to know that the Middle East will not hold a spot on the line for you. It's an aggressive place. You have to make your claim clearly, and that will actually allow moderate and tolerant Arabs to say, I do or don't want to take part in the national dialogue of the State of Israel. But we cannot allow a whole subculture of fifth column to rise up that actually is interested in somehow undermining the viability of the Jewish state or its borders. That, of course, is self-destructive and does no favor to no Arab also at the same time. It does no favor to them, because Israel is the one country in the Middle East with its stability, with its more democratic ideals, with its ideals of humanitarian rights. It's the only country that has any semblance of light for the Middle East. And the only way that it's going to flourish is by holding its own, holding its ground, not to allow bullying. And that is the better future for Israel and for the region. But it's through the assertion of what we really are, which is a Jewish state first.